Good afternoon from Mama Bali on the Pacific Ring of Fire. And welcome to this super full moon eclipse, a partial lunar eclipse today, and the beginning of a very powerful passage where we have an eclipse, September equinox, and the eclipse. And for us here in Bali, Indonesia, it's also during the ceremony of Galungan and Kunungan, this ceremony of the ancestors. That's a 10-day ceremony that takes place every 6 months. So the energies of our earth are being amplified. We're going through a personal planetary reset. And it's an extraordinary time or an opportune time for our own cleansing and purification at this time. So it's important to keep that in mind. And really, as we go through this powerful passage, is to slow down. Stay close to the earth. Stay connected with our bodies. Stay well hydrated, well rested, and with gentle exercise. And it's a beautiful time also for ceremony, where we honor our interconnectedness and sync ourselves with the source of creation through our solar and, in this case, solar and lunar cycles that are taking place here today. So welcome, everybody. We will begin with going through the alignment process together. For those of you that are just coming in and have had a busy day, I invite you to stand up, sound, breathe, and move so that you can prepare your bodies to harmonize with the field, and also so that you may receive as much as you wish to from this journey we're going to have with Sean in South Africa today. So aligning physical, mental, and emotional bodies. With all-pervading soul or higher self. And with your monadic or galactic self. Remembering the power of your own soul song, your voice throughout this process. And that's why sound supports the harmonization of our own field and bringing it into coherence. And from this alignment of the bodies, we'd like to sink a luminous thread deep down through the floor, the soils, the sands, the bedrock, and the waters into the molten core in the heart of Gaia. And inhaling out the primordial energy of creation up through the root, the base, the womb space, and expanding it with sound. Up into the belly and expanding with sound. And up into the heart and expanding with sound. The sound of the heart is the hum of the humming bee, who hold the template of Homo Universalis for humanity at the frequency of love of the unified field. Activating our Earth Star, 1 foot beneath the feet, and connecting through the divergent meridians of the planetary body. And those primordial elemental energies of creation in their purity and infinite potential that are here to support our evolution. For all species are evolving on our Earth right now. For the elemental structures are evolving. And inviting up those primordial elemental energies of creation up through your own unique pillar so that they may cleanse, clear, and purify your pillar. Supporting regeneration, rejuvenation, and recalibration. All the way up to the soul star, 1 foot or half a meter above the head. And inviting in those celestial energies to meet with the terrestrial energies through your own unique golden toroidal field, as we synchronize and harmonize this golden toroidal field with the golden toroidal field of the planetary body. And from here, surrendering through the core of Source and the heart of Gaia, where the new Earth architecture emerges, and allowing ourselves to be held, to be supported. From this space, we no longer hold space. We are held and supported, and everyone in our field is also supported when we may surrender into the new Earth architecture and maintain the frequency of the new Earth. Surrendering to the core of Source in our own heart spaces, into that unified field of love within and without, our interconnection with all that is. Surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the Sun and the great central Sun. Surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the Moon and Gaia, our original moon, that's embedded through the African continent, for which we are meeting with today. And from this space, we activate our solar and lunar discs within our own systems to harmonize with the solar and lunar discs of the planetary system. And surrendering through the core of Source in the galactic center, wherever that resonates within your own system, that may be in the pineal gland, our gateway to God, our connection with that part of ourselves that resides outside of time, the all-seeing and the all-knowing. Or it may be through the navel, the galactic center, if that has landed through your body already. And feeling what it is to be aligned within your own system with the planetary body and the sun and the super full moon, known as the harvest moon in the northern hemisphere. A super full moon because of its proximity to the earth. And as we sync ourselves through the source of creation with these cyclic times, may we invite our ancient future selves into this now time, into this body, into this bubble, into this here and now, so that we may course correct onto our soul's journey, onto our earth walk, for the reason we are on this planet right now. Inhaling, exhaling with sound as we strengthen and fortify our own unique pillar. Inhaling, exhaling with sound. And the next exhalation, we're coming into unity, our pillar with the point on the planet where we stand today. And on the third one, inhaling, exhaling with sound as we come into unity around the planet from all continents here today. To allow for a smooth and efficient information exchange, that is what is being said and that what is not said, that we may share it with those who are gathered and with those who have yet to gather in this circle of guardians of Gaia today. Taking this moment to honor the earth keepers from all colors of the rainbows, the red paths, the green paths, the yellow paths, those that have maintained reciprocity and interconnectivity in our relationship with nature and the sacred cycles of life. Honoring our whales and dolphins, our cetacean nation, for singing the harmonics of the planet while humanity has been sleeping. To our dragon clans, all the way back to the Gong Gong dragons, the original and origin codes. And today, special honoring of the Aboriginal people of Australia and the Kalahari San, who hold the codes of creation prior to manifestation. And may we maintain this connection as we come into the present moment. To welcome Sean into our circle today. It's a great gift to have Sean here. We were introduced by a mutual friend when we were both traveling, and our first meeting was in Hyde Park in London in October 2011 at the turning point in the initiation of the ninth wave of the Mayan calendar. And we've been very blessed to have a number of meetings since then in South Africa and also in the Cedarburg Mountains. And we're hoping to connect once again in June, around June solstice 2025, with a sacred journey through the sacred sites of Southern Africa. And it's lovely to have Diane here with us as well, who has spent her time in South Africa and is currently living in Peru. So it's a great pleasure that I hand you over to Sean to give us an introduction, maybe starting off with understanding the 260-day cycle of the Tzolk'in and its relationship to the 9 waves of the Mayan calendar.
Thank you, Leanne. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here in this beautiful community of souls here in Cape Town, South Africa today, the 18th of September, 2024. And today's energy, we honor the day energy today on this 260-day calendar. And the day's energy is 3 Maluk, or water. So it's a day of ceremony, actually. The Maya would do ceremony on this day. It's about giving back. It's actually a type of payment. It's like to do with bringing balance to the karma. And it's a day of realizing the complexity and the diversity of the divine process. And so, in this process, in terms of the 260-day calendar, it's really a gestation period, and it's very near to a 9-month period, 260 days. So it's really the gestation of the universe, because these cycles are multi-layered. So there's a 260-day calendar that is 260 days, but on the 9 levels, each level is a different size 260 days. And this is information that not a lot of people know about, and it's actually quite important, in my view, to actually have this awareness of the 9-level mind calendar for a start. I'm just going to let it flow and talk and hope it all makes sense. But Leanne, so myself and Leanne have been journeying for a long time and keeping in touch, and met a few times over the years. And, like things go, you veer off and then you don't hear from each other, and then you connect again. And we in these times where we are connecting because our souls need each other in a way, to get through this time that we're in. We really do need each other. And if you are dreaming wisely in your life, you realize that it's the inner journey that is so important. And this is really what the Mayan calendar is all about. It doesn't work with the outer astrological cycles of time. It works with the sequence of numbers. So this is what makes it quite interesting, in a sense, for the rational mind, so that you can make sense of the sequence and then lay it over what is happening in the world now, and over time, over the process of evolution. And this is really what this 9 levels is all about, because it's such a big expanse of time. It goes back to 16 billion years ago, 16.4 billion years ago. When you actually understand the code, it's quite phenomenal. It's sort of mind-blowing, really. And just to let you know that it actually goes back even further than 16 billion years ago. If you look at the codes and the inscriptions, they have dates that go back trillions of years ago. Before the 16.4 billion years ago, when the so-called beginning of the universe manifested its cycle to this point, to reach maturity, because it's all about the seed's growth from initiating its intention to going through a process to becoming mature unto itself. So each level has this sort of growth of consciousness, which it condenses. And so as it condenses, it's actually accelerating time. So this is also where we can understand why the world, things are sort of accelerating, things have been accelerating. So to come back to the 260-day calendar, this fits so beautifully into the 9-level mind calendar. And it actually connects with another calendar called the Tun calendar, the 360-day calendar. So it's actually the 260-day calendar and the 360-day calendar that actually drives this 9-level pyramid of evolution. And it's my journey initially started with a calendar that was created from the 260-day calendar called the dream spell. And so I was learning about this dream spell back in the day, in about 2006. Someone introduced it to me, and it was fascinating. And then I realized when I saw the information about the 9-level mind calendar, that this dream spell calendar that was created, a 260-day calendar, it was created from the understanding of the 260-day calendar of the Maya. It was created off sync from the actual original 260-day calendar that the Maya worked with. So when I tried to bring the dream spell information that I learned into the 9 levels, it didn't sync, and something just didn't fit with that for me. And so then I realized that this 9 levels was working with the original 260-day calendar that had been followed for thousands of years by the Maya. And so then I just left the dream spell and said, thank you, it had served its purpose. But then I went on to the 260-day calendar of the actual Maya, because that aligned to the 9-level mind calendar that aligns to the, this big scales of time, and this is where I saw a presentation by Inex Lungold from Mayan Magics. And you can actually go to that website and have a look at it still to this day. It really sort of concentrates on the 260-day calendar, but Inex Lungold has since passed, but he brought to the surface the 9-level mind calendar. You can actually also see a couple of these presentations on YouTube. And because time then, when he was doing the presentations in 2005, when he gave the presentations, you'll notice that you sort of almost feel a bit bored because it's taking time. So you press the button for the speed to go faster, and you can actually sink in with it. Because in a sense, time was slower then. Now it's accelerated. This is how, old movies, sometimes it takes long, or you feel like you want it to go quicker. So this is how I'm perceiving time in terms of the energies of creation that we are here in this lifetime going through, and it's going through a rapid acceleration of consciousness, condensing. And so in a sense, a lot of the work we're doing and healing ourselves, we can do it instantly because time is accelerated. It doesn't need to take long anymore, to heal, because everything is accelerating. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday, how that's actually something to just contemplate and think about and say, yes, I can heal like that from something that's bothering me, or some trauma I've been through in my life, because this is literally what we're doing here in this journey. Firstly, we should really be healing first and then going out and having fun. But most of humanity wants to have fun and doesn't realize it has to heal, So, yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Sean. Just a couple of things I want to emphasize on that you've shared so far. Is to differentiate between the dream spell and what we're talking about here, because there's I also got introduced to the dream spell, and my glyph in the dream spell was a red rhythmic dragon with personal power doubled. Now, that was resonant to me. However, on the actual 260-day Tzolk'in, my glyph is Akabal and a tone 13. And that is who I am within and without, through and through, at a soul level and my soul service. So although the other one had some resonance, the Akabal tone 13 is truth in every cell of my being to who I am. So that's the difference between what is absolutely true and what's partially true. And on this earth walk, we're here to master discernment in this dimension and others. So we have to be able to feel what is absolutely true to our systems all the way through, not just making sense to the mind body, but that's why we bring our bodies into alignment so we can feel that resonance through on a cellular level.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the other side of the whole thing is that I think the dream spell really served a purpose, and in a sense, a good purpose, because it allowed us to reflect and realize where we'd possibly gone off course. But yet, who's to say it's going off course? This is, really, this is what the ninth wave is all about. It's about being out of judgment. It's just about being in the heart and understanding also that, in a sense, because time has come to this like meeting point, there is no more time. This is one thing I wanted to say to you, that where you were talking at the beginning with alignments about going slower, this is really what these scales of time are all about. So when we align with the biggest scales of time, we actually go slower. And so this is when, like, if you look at the Hopi prophecies, he's talking about cosmic egg Earth hatching, and it talks about these birds that came into lay an egg, and Earth is an egg, right? And so the core of Earth, the center of the Earth is like the center of the egg, and that nucleus. This is just my interpretation and my understanding. It's the whole center of the Earth is actually slowed down to a still point, and at that still point, it hatches. So everything has to be totally sort of neutral, and we need to be neutral in our mind and heart, and that's the mind-heart correlation. Just be in neutrality and be at peace. And when things are in conflict within us, and we see conflict there, the only way to combat that conflict is to be at peace with it and just let it be what it wants to be, because that's how we learn. Or should I say, the Bushmen taught me about how to work with things when I was with them over the years. It's like, I may go off track here a little bit, but I saw this instance where I was with San in the Kalahari, and they have a sacred tree called the Tree of Faith, and someone had done something to this tree, wrapped some stuff around it, and it was in a way not sacred, because there was no permission. Some person had gone there, not a San person, someone, and had known that they do ceremony there, and gone and done maybe some work for themselves, and maybe not good, I don't know. But when I saw this, and I said to the Bushman, because I go to the tree a few times with the Bushman, and it was always beautiful there, and I saw that someone had wrapped some stuff around the tree, and it didn't look nice, and it wasn't sacred to me. And I said to the Bushman, what do you think about this? And they said, no, they have to leave it, because it needs to just run its course. As they didn't want to take it off the tree. To them, it served some sort of purpose still. Like, it's unbelievable, their thought. Like, any person would say, no, I'm taking this off the tree. I don't like it there, and they take it away. And they said, no, leave it there. It was put there for some reason. It's amazing the way they think. So they're more in allowance. They don't work with inner conflict, and that to me is an incredible trait to have. So I mean, you were with them, Leanne. What do you think?
Yeah, that's beautiful, Sean. And it's really interesting, because a thought that came to me before our meeting today was that what happens if we engage with our experience, be them crisis, chaos, or celebration, as this is happening for me rather than this is happening to me.
Yes.
If we slow down enough and say, well, this is happening for me, so how do I shift my perspective? How do I learn what I'm here to learn from this experience? Rather than, poor me, it's happening to me, and fall into the victim in the triangle of disempowerment. And this simple shift in perspective will change our experience, and then takes us on a more expansive journey where there's opportunity to learn, grow, and to become more conscious and aware of ourselves.
Exactly. I mean, so, when I was with the Bushmen, I did 2 journeys abroad with Isak and Lydia. I was very blessed. I just did it like as a volunteer, and it was people ask me because they saw my years of connection with them in ceremony, and we went to Barcelona to do ceremonies with a gathering of elders, indigenous people. That was 2016, and then in 2018 again we went to Panama to do some work at a gathering called Tribal Gathering. All beautiful, and it's a lot of younger people coming through who are very interested in this sort of thing as well. But there was quite a lot of media. One of the journalists there, actually interviewed the Bushman, and I told the story to them, and he was like fascinated, and he brought it through in his magazine. So yeah. So one thing I want to say, okay, so going back to the calendar and the 260-day calendar and the 9 levels. So who actually brought, okay, Ian Lungold, he gave a lot of presentations. He's from Mayan Magics. You can go to mayanmagics.com to see. That's the 260-day calendar that is in sync with the 9 levels, that the ancient Maya, and still the Maya to this day, do ceremony. They will be working in ceremony for the energy of today, 3 water, offering or look. And so it was Ian was working with a 260-day calendar, and he didn't even know about the 9 levels, but then he saw the work of Dr. Carl Johan Kellerman, who gave through his books an understanding of these 9 levels and what it meant. And so that's where the correlation was. And then I subsequently communicated with Dr. Kellerman in about 2008. And then we got in communication and exchanged quite a lot of emails. And so the journey began, really. And I read most of his books since then. He's written about 7 books. And his website is kellerman.com. And yeah, so I've started up a website called the Universal Frequency .com, which is there. It's just a page of a few things and then some explanations leading to a Facebook page, which you can also see some of the posts, and you can see the day energies and the different things we share in a couple of videos and things. And so yeah, this is where we are, and there's so much. It's been that journey since then till now has literally been my life. It's sort of absolutely organic and natural. I mean, obviously there's times where you're not into it as deep, but it really has given me, and this is the other thing about the Mayan calendar, it does give you direction, especially if you learn a little bit about your soul light, the day you're born into is coded with the Mayan calendar, and that can give you some guidance and direction. So yeah, I mean, this is more or less for now where we are. What else would you like to know, Leanne?
Just 2 things there. One, the Mayan Magic website, you can actually go into that and put in your date and place of birth and find out what your glyph and tone are.
Yes.
And
yes.
The latest book of Carl's that I really enjoyed is The 9 Waves of Creation. And I've got that also in the Earthwalk Global bookstore. You'll be able to find it then under Evolution. It's a great book that takes a lot of scientific information and condenses it into a pretty reasonably understandable version for those of us that aren't scientists. So thank you, Sean. Does anybody have any questions for Sean while we have him here about the Mayan calendar, be that the 260-day cycle of the Tolkien, the Tun 360-day cycle, or the 9 waves of creation, and how they relate to our evolution of consciousness?
And is there something specific for right now, like this moon cycle, that this information illuminates, or?
Well, there's something specific, definitely, in terms of how the cycles are at the moment where they are, and also because it's the equinox. Actually, on the equinox is quite a big day in Maya lands, because, as you know, the big pyramid, Chichen Itza, on the equinoxes, it has an incredible event where the serpent actually makes a wave movement of the shadows down the side of the pyramid. So that's quite incredible, to be honest with you. You know, how they designed that like that. One, you know, only can sort of admire what they did with that architecture to create that. And so it's the balance of light, isn't it? You know, it's like the absolute balance. And then also where we are now on the 260-day calendar, and where it also correlates with that equinox, has some bearing. And on the actual 260-day calendar, there's these what they call tricennas. So every 13 days is a tricenna. So tricenna means 13. So we're actually on the third day of a tricenna at the moment. And this tricenna that we're in is actually, it's called manik, and it's deer. So it's really connecting with nature. So it's really about the connection to nature and your nature. It's a good, that it has little guidelines. If you do go to the website, Mind Magics, they have a newsletter that you can actually subscribe to. And every 13 days, they send out a newsletter. And there's quite a few people that are giving information there about what that particular 13 days is all about. So as I say, it's deer, and it's, in a sense, it's like recreation of unity. It's actually returning to nature to create spiritual strength. It's really about this energy we're in now. And if you actually, it's like tuning into a television, you know, you just see the white there, and then you'll turn the button, you'll come to the place that is visible. So this is almost like this information that I'm sharing here. If you don't know about it, you can't really tune into it. So I'm tuning you into this information. And so this information is quantum. So it's not the outer world, it's the inner, it's the quantum universe. It's the universe creating itself from within itself. And it's another whole perspective. And it's you know, it's the destiny of the soul, in my view. It's the destiny of your soul. And it's one perspective. And there's many perspectives that different indigenous cultures have. I think the indigenous ancient way, indigenous people were very connected with finding balance. And so when, this is also what the 9 levels brings an understanding of, is that as these 9 levels came in and each level was activated, it activated a certain consciousness. And so, and this, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about this, and I won't even get bored, but I have to just connect sometimes with the information, you know. But yeah, so where we are now is in the 13 days of deer, and it's really about returning to nature to create spiritual strength. In fact, when the 9th wave was activated in 2011, it was activated on the 9th of March 2011. If you type that date in the Mind Magics calculator, it will come up with 1 deer. So we're on the 3rd day of 1 deer. And so the 9th wave was activated on 1 deer. And it's quite interesting how it was activated on the day of saying, go back to nature to find yourself, literally. So it's incredible how these codes work. You know, for me, it's unbelievable to think it's just numbers. It's nothing to do with the planets and all. It's just numbers. And so they have this 20-day cycle. We actually are in the second 20-day cycle of the 260-day calendar, and we're in the third 13-day cycle. So obviously, because I've worked with this and studied it deep, I have a certain level of understanding. The second 20-day cycle is almost like the 13 20-day cycle. So the first one is the initiation of the seed's growth. It's like the beginning of the dream, you know, to find itself. And the second one is all about to be or not to be. It's like a reaction, it's duality. And so it's quite a fragile time. And the first 2 20-day cycles. That's 40 days. The first one is the green hummingbird, and the second one is the blue hummingbird. So it shows you how fragile this beginning is. It's like the bird, it's such a high frequency, and it's such a fragile time that we actually find ourselves in right now. And then when these 40 days are complete and we go into the second 20 days, it's the falcon. It's about activation. It's from the Aztec calendar. So a lot of the information about the Mayan calendar was lost, and we know why. Because they didn't want the people who conquered the Maya didn't understand them and all their ceremonies, and they didn't want them to do that work, because they knew that was their power, and they wanted to take their power away. So they actually took all the information away from the Maya, and it is said that they burnt a lot of the information. But yet the Maya then 500 years ago went into hiding, and in the 1990s came out. And so for that long, they still kept exact count of the days of time, even though they were persecuted. So it's quite amazing. So yeah, and then on another level, and I spoke about this in the last conversation with Leanne on the very beginning of a new Trisena of the 8th wave. So we're talking about these expanses of time. So that each wave of creation is a level of this pyramid. And so the 8th wave is the 13 cycles, 360-day cycles of the 8th wave is like a Trisena, and that started on the 21st of August. And the last time there was a 13 or a Trisena of the 8th wave, it started on the 29th of October 2011. And so what these expanses of time, we've come to understand there is a energy that is still, because when the nine-level Mayan calendar completed and 2012 came along, everyone thought it was the end of the world. And so they thought, okay, well, that's that. We don't need the Mayan calendar anymore. Let's leave it. And so everyone did. No one really followed it. But because I've done a lot of research with Dr. Kellerman, we continued. We understood that there was something more to this calendar. And so what happened was we realized that there was still a continuing energy that was giving direction to consciousness. So everything didn't just end, it completed to continue. In 2011, converged for the first time in human history. They were all running separate in a way, so they now converged. So really that's symbolic of humanity being separate and now having to converge. But because in a sense we're living in this physical dimension, there's like a lag in time. So we're catching up with ourselves. And this is really what's going to happen as we go into the future. More and more, we're going to have to live unified with each other. In other words, letting go conflicts and being at peace. That's really the future. The future is peace. There's no doubt about it. And one of my teachers is Roy Littleson, and he is an adopted Hopi. He works with the Hopi teachings, and he talks about creator's laws and everything. And one of his teachings is that Earth is destined to be a portal of universal peace. So think about that. That is an incredible thing to contemplate. And I believe that we're headed in that direction. And it's only our mind off-centered from the heart that will take us off of that direction. So the heart is so important. And the heart is, for me, the feminine, and the mind is the masculine. And there's a lot more to this. But yeah, so where we are now is the beginning of a new big wave of energy, but also on the 9th wave, it's also another expansive energy. And these energies are all about beginnings, especially on the 9th wave, it's primordial beginnings. But on the 8th wave, what I'm looking at it as is actually connecting with the jaguar. And so it's like the magic of creation. The jaguar, the guardian of earth and the jungle, and the temples and shrines. So there's something for me about the jaguar going to come through, but it's going to be almost, you won't almost even know it. It's going to be so slow and gradual. And as I was saying, that whole hatching, it basically happens on a big scale quickly, but it's actually big. So because we're living on this condensed consciousness of the 260-day calendar, we don't really feel these big cycles other than gradual, you know. So really, this is where we are at the moment, and it's just a case of, in my view, starting with a 260-day calendar and then seeing how this fits with you, and it's not for everyone, and so, you know, it's a case of seeing where that takes you, you know, in terms of that. I hope that helped a bit.
Thank you, Sean. That was great. And I think for most people here in the circle and watching the Guardians of GAIA recording, we're all aware that the Gregorian calendar does not sync ourselves with the source of creation, and most of us follow the Gregorian calendar. So in order to sync ourselves with the source of creation, we have to start honoring our lunar cycles, as we do with our Guardians of Gaia gathering, coming together on the new and full moons, and our solar cycles, which are the main solstices and equinoxes and the cross-quarter points. By pausing long enough to make ceremony at that time to honor our connection with all that is, helps restore and synchronize our circadian rhythms with the planetary body, and therefore with the source of creation. And what the Mayan calendar is offering us through the 260-day Solkan cycle and the Tun and the ways of consciousness is another tool in which to sync ourselves with the source of creation, to come back into full soul embodiment and collect to our monadic galactic selves at this time, where life on Earth becomes a dance, and we get to interact with creation as creators, as conscious creators, as part of creation. And when we do that, that's when magic is restored in our mundane lives, and our multidimensionality comes into coherence and connection in such a way that we actually have to slow life down and be in the present moment, because so much is happening in each moment. And when we're running around on the treadmill or with our heads cut off and disconnected, we don't get to experience the beauty, the magic, and the absolute pleasure of just being here in a resonant field. As when Sean was speaking about the cycle of time that was ending in 2011, 2012, but it was another beginning. My whole body's sitting here in ecstasy with koyopa, which is the Mayan word for truth bumps, on what happens when truth starts resonating through our unified fields at the level of soul. And there's much pleasure in that, simply just being here in a human body at this time. And then using that resonance as our mechanism to discern truth from false, right from wrong, good from bad, no, but truth from false, what is resonant and true to us. Then our earth walk becomes much more clear and concise, and our direction and the way forward in creation is very obvious. So thank you. Any more questions for Sean while we have him here with us? So while you're thinking up and dreaming up any more questions, it feels important to mention that we have our Guardians of Gaia gathering, and we've been communicating about activating the source portal, which is why I had the previous meeting with Sean, and you'll find the recording on our YouTube channel if you're interested in that. And we went through the calculations, and the source portal will initiate and open on Monday, the 14th of October, which is the beginning of another 18-day cycle and 18-night cycle, a completion of a 36-day cycle. So if those of you who have been journeying with Earthwalk for a while, who have done the deep embodiment work, come into your sovereignty and discernment and feeling resonant with that, you will find a link on the Earthwalk website for online gatherings under their source portal, and there's an application form that you can fill out to join that gathering. That will be a subscription community, and we are opening in literally just under 1 month's time. And we're quite excited about that, and to see where it may take us when we're operating through the unified field and listening to the beat of the same drum, and see what wishes to emerge through that. So it's an exploration into the magic of our multidimensionality from the unified field as sisters and brothers in service, in circle. So that
Thank
is
you.
emerging out.
I wanted to
Sure.
just say, if I may say something, excuse me. Just to quickly give an overview of what the ninth wave is. I think it's important to actually understand that. And that this also, you're talking about what energies are at play now. This is also part of, in fact, it's the most important part of the energies at play, in my view. Because when the ninth wave was activated, it's activated the top level. And in a sense, you've seen on the dollar bill that like all-seeing eye thing. You've seen that eye on the dollar bill, US dollar bill, that all-seeing eye. In a sense, that all-seeing eye is actually like the ninth wave. You can look at it like that. And when that ninth wave was activated, it actually activated our all-seeing eye. You can see it like that. And so this is really where has been a great manipulation that has happened. And so my view is that the manipulation was allowed to happen because the 9-level mind calendar wasn't complete in terms of evolution. So because it wasn't complete, everything was being allowed to be manipulated and controlled. But now, because it's complete and this all-seeing eye is awake within our mind, we can start to control ourselves and take our sovereignty back, reclaim our sovereignty. This is really, we're in the time of reclaiming our sovereignty. Hence, so much has gone on in terms of that. If you look at things, simple little things like Brexit, what's happened in England, that's about reclaiming their sovereignty, in England. So what the ninth wave activated was this energy to transcend the imprints of duality. So the imprints that have happened that have been quite traumatic, especially, and to almost like course correct. And so it's been a gradual process, as I've been explaining about these expanses of time, but it is course correcting slowly but surely. And you'll have pessimists who say, I don't think it will ever. But for me, it will course correct in time, because I'm going to do that for myself. You see, it starts with the self. You've got to be the one who does that. You've got to shine the light for that to happen. And then you'll create your life to be in tune with the evolution of source creators' intention and consciousness. So the ninth wave, these energies, they are actually the plumed serpent. So each of the 9 levels is like a plumed serpent. So you've heard of the plumed serpent, the Mayan calendar. The serpent was the creator of time to the Maya people. So each level is a different condensed form of a wave movement. And so the 9th level is the most condensed form of this wave movement. And it's 18 days of light, 18 days of shadow. So it's like 18 days of almost like receiving new cosmic downloads, and 18 days of dreaming it and resting. And so it's basically east to south, south to west, west to north, and north back to east. So it's like the daytime, and it's like the nighttime. So it's being in the valley. And so that period from north to east is a very important, north to east is a very important period, even in the day, in our day-to-day life. That's the time where we dream. We're sleeping, generally speaking. It's the time of dreaming, and sort of it's in terms of the the medicine wheel, you can also correlate it to the medicine wheel with the directions. It's the time of the design change. So it's preparing for the change that's coming when the new sun rises. So this is where we are now. We're actually in the 18 days of peak now. We're on the 11th day now, the 18th of September. And there is, by the way, a calculator called the 9th wave calculator. You can actually Google it, and it's Dr. Kellerman's calendar to track the 9th wave. And so you can see when we're in a peak, there's like energy that brings new cosmic downloads. And when we're in a valley, it's more of a time of rest and sort of preparing for new growth. And it can be almost like a collapsing energy when you're in the 18 days of the night, and a building and growing energy when you're in the 18 days of the daytime, which we're in now. So that was just something I wanted to explain, and how the reason, the whole thing is the 9th level is only 234 days long. So because it's 234 days long, it actually is a time cycle that's shorter than 260 days. So that basically means that it is unto itself. It is not dictated by the 260-day calendar. So it, in a sense, transcends the 260-day calendar. So this is where the 260-day calendar has its role, but actually the 9th wave is very important to contemplate the coding of it and what it means, and that it really is transcending all the 9 waves, because all the 8 waves below the 9th were built by the 260-day calendar. And so now the 9th wave had come along, and it's not dictated by the 260-day calendar. So that's just a little bit of coding to share. So yeah, it's a bit deep, but yeah, this is my depth I've been contemplating.
Thanks for that, Sean. Jenny, you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, on a sort of mental level, it kind of, yeah, getting a bit scrambled. So the question is more the sort of way in, and I'm feeling that sort of, sensing into that 18-day cycle of the 9th wave, to me kind of resonates, and having that awareness of that. Otherwise, it feels like this big sort of polyrhythmic dance where you've got all these different beats, and finding the sort of harmony in that between all the sort of different cycles that you've talked about within the Mayan calendar, and then with the solar and lunar cycles that I'm kind of currently entrained to. So I suppose the question is more, what do you see as the sort of best way into this? Because obviously if you're feeling it deeply, then you figure out you sort of get that sense of one of the cycles, then you can start to add the layers. And then another question, I'm just curious, with the San that you're also connected to, what's their sense of kind of calendar and time, and because of their sort of more cosmic origins as well, is there any sort of relation with the Mayan?
Yeah, thank you for that, and very good questions. Thanks. So in terms of a starting point, it depends where if you want to just come in a sense where you don't want to be in the mind about it all, I would say that the 9th wave is the best place to start, because it is overwhelming, and we all are wired differently. And the date that I would say the starting point really would be to find out your day sign. Go to Mind Magics and find out what day sign you are, and then learn a little bit about that and see how that fits with you. And you can even get a small little reading. I think it's for about $10 or something. They'll send you about a 15 or 20 page reading on the meaning of the day you're born into, and I found it very helpful. And so that's the 260-day calendar. But if you don't want to go into that too deeply, I would say just follow those 18 days of growth and 18 days of, in a sense, rest. So that would be a good place to start in terms of just being simplified, And then if you want to go into it deeper, then learn about the 260-day calendar. And I've met people who have taken it so far deep to heart. They've gone to Guatemala and journeyed with the Maya elders there. I've been to Guatemala myself and been in pilgrimage there and journeyed with them and done fire ceremonies. And, it's all about baby steps. it takes time, especially when you're getting into anything new and as complex as this. It really does take time, and so it can be exciting. It really gets exciting when you see confirmations. Especially on this journey of the soul and the inner journey we're on. When we see things, and it gives like omens and evidence of that you're actually on the right direction. You want to have some confirmation you're on the right direction. So this is what the Mayan calendar can help us with. And then in terms of the SAN, my experience with them is I've spoken to them about it and they'll just sort of agree because they don't understand it, but they live in the heart and they just trust and they know it will be fine. But my take is that they've done these ceremonies for so long. They were like preparing us for the calendar information. So they know it, but differently in terms of consciously knowing it. So yeah, this is I actually worked out some of their signs and all that when I was with them, and it really it synced. But we actually did an event called called the Ignite the One Heart Fire. It was in tune with the ninth wave. It was actually on the first over 18 days of growth, and that was beautiful. It was about igniting the feminine. So the lady had to light the fire because the feminine is going to be the new fire keeper, where the masculine has to just be in surrender to the feminine. But it doesn't mean men have to surrender to women. It's just an energetic thing, where because the masculine has controlled the woman for so long, the feminine for so long. So that's the shift. So that was that ceremony that was in correlation with the ninth wave that the Bushmen were involved with in 2017, actually here in Cape Town. But yeah, so yeah, that's I hope that answers the question.
Thank you for your questions, Jenny, and thank you, Sean. Is there any other questions from anyone before we bring our journey to closure for today?
There was a question in the chat, I think. When I first started with the Mayan calendar, I got a Mayan magic calendar and read the energy of the day each day and tried to align my actions to that energy. That felt a simple way to get to understand it. Yes, that is a good way. That's lovely. It was from Tiffany. That is a good one, mindmagics.com. Start there. And then go to drkellerman.com. He is actually giving a course that starts on Saturday, a 6-week-long course. And it's all recorded, so you can go back to it afterwards. And it's all on his website, kellerman.com.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you for mentioning that. I think we'll pop those two website addresses on the bottom of the YouTube recording so that people will be able to find them after they've listened to this recording. And we'll also put Sean's information down there, because I didn't tell you that Sean's passion is actually art, and he's an amazing artist doing work down there in Cape Town. You'll find him down in the Key.
Yeah, in the waterfront in Cape Town, there's a market there. I have a little stand where I sell a few of my paintings. I'm actually inspired by the sand in their art. That's where it all started.
Yeah, so we'll leave Sean's website down there as well, so that you'll be able to find him. And for those of us who may feel called, or those that may feel called to journey with us, Sacred Sites in Southern Africa, June solstice 2025, we're hoping to spend a few days with Sean and the Kalahari Sound, perhaps up in the Cedarburg at the end of that journey. So
that'd be amazing.
You'll be able to find it there. Yeah. Thank you, John. Did you have a question before we close for today?
I was just saying hi, actually, Sean. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice.
We came in late, right on our start time. We had a power cut here, and I was going, that's interesting. And so we had that for 35, 40 minutes anyway, but we're here, and I'll pick it up on the recording anyway. But nice to meet you, my friend, and I'll
Yes.
check it out. You know, maybe tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just to let you know, I was born in England actually, and I came here. My parents immigrated to Cape Town when I was a child, so I'm actually from the UK.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, neat. Yeah. I'm just a Kiwi like Leanne, but I went to school.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I'll just put that in. But I apologize for that. Are you in Australia?
I went to school there, but no, New Zealand's my home. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Nice to meet you, everyone. Nice.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. On this note, we would like to take a moment to come into our own centers, into our own pillars, to honor the circle. Lots of love and gratitude for Sean for being with us today from Cape Town, South Africa, for sharing the wisdom of the Maya. At this epic time of evolution on our planet, with the understanding that as we pass through this super full moon eclipse, equinox and eclipse passage, we're also passing in the current of the next enormous tsunami and wave of awakening across our planet. And the ripple effect that will have within our individual selves, within our communities, across countries and continents on the planet is enormous. So really taking a moment to honor ourselves for the individual journeys that we have walked to be here now, to become a pillar in a time of chaos, to become a beacon, and to encourage our communities to have faith and trust in the bigger picture that is unfolding beyond time. And that evolution only takes the time it takes to align. As we honor all of our wisdom keepers from the red road paths, the green paths, the yellow paths, the Kalahari sun, who remember our celestial origins in these terrestrial bodies as we walk this earth on our own path of remembering ourselves and restoring unity and harmony with our bodies, each other, and the earth. Thank you all for sharing this journey with us today, and we look forward to meeting you in the other end of this eclipse sandwich for those of you who are able to join us. And for those that are being called to the source portal, 14th of October is opening day. And we are hoping to do it on Sean's time zone so that he can be with us once again. Much love, everyone. And thank you for sharing this incredible earth work.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne, for your work, and to everyone, and to Source Creator and the angels that are with us. And may we all be blessed and held and given the direction that our soul is truly needing for us to be at peace within and create a world of peace. Thank you.
Uh-huh.